All right. Okay, so we just got done reading the story of the Three Little Pigs, and can we just like go around and kind of recount like what all happened in the Three Little Pigs? We all kind of know the basic story now.
Well, each of the three little pigs builds their own type of house.
Okay. We'll just kind of flip through.
The first is straw.
Perfect. Yep.
And then bricks.
What happens in between them? This picture kind
Wolf
of
huffs and puffs and blows their house down.
Okay. Gotcha. And then what happens in the end?
The wolf tries to blow down the bricks, but he can't. So
This picture is kind of demonstrative of that. It's a little frustration right here.
That is
Wow.
my
And then the wolf ends up,
in the stew.
yeah. Okay, so with that, what type of character is the wolf made out to be in this version, in the original version?
The villain.
Okay, and it's very much from like, what point of view?
The pigs.
Okay. Well, we all know the original one, and we just kind of redid that. And so now, what I want us to do is look at another story, which is kind of a revised story of the Three Little Pigs, and it's going to be from a different point of view, and we'll kind of talk about that later. But I'm going to read you the true story of the Three Little Pigs. Yeah. All right. Everyone knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story, because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny, and I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house. So I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without a cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead, as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. I think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the doorbell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it out there in the open. So I did the only thing that there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, Wolf! Don't bother me again! Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear, sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then the little pig yelled, and your old granny can sit on a pin! Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when someone talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. And that's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe, could you loan me a cup of sugar? Alright. So, these are the stories, and obviously, there's plenty of differences between the original and what I'll call the revised version. So we can talk about those. We're going to write them down. I'll write them down up here and come up with some ideas. But let's list the differences of the two. So on this side, we'll do original. And then we'll call it revised. Okay. So if we want to list, we can start off with the point of view from the first one. And we'll just do POV. Can anyone tell me what the point of view was?
The pigs.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of going to be simple, but we'll just go through it, and then at the end we'll see all the differences. Okay, so what was the point of view from the second one?
The wolf.
All right. And how did that make changes to the rest of the book?
Change the whole story.
Okay, so the plot.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the original, the plot was that the wolf was bad.
Trying to eat the piggies just because he was hungry. And the big piggy himself.
And in the revised version,
Wolf is good, wants a cup of sugar.
Pigs are mean.
okay, what other things did that change other than just a general plot, but more specific things like getting into the setting or things like that? Do you know anything else that was big changes?
Well, the wolf didn't die in the end.
True. So in the original, all right. Okay.
Stop.
Yep.